Hi, I'm WEIU's Lacey Spence. I've lived in Central Illinois my whole life, and if there's one thing I've learned, you don't have to go too far to find the beauty of the great outdoors. Come along with me as I visit a variety of parks and natural areas across Illinois, and share why you should take a hike to each episode's location. Adventure and fun await in Take a Hike, the mini-series.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Roll King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Roll King at rollking.com.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
Welcome back to another season of WEIU TV's Take a Hike, the mini-series. I'm your host, Lacey Spence, and I am so glad that you tuned in. It is such a joy to get to host a show like Take a Hike because I get to help you and your family find fun outdoor spaces to plan visits to year-round. In fact, I take notes of the episodes myself, so I know locations that I want to go back to, which is why I'm joining you from Ballard Nature Center. So over the next half hour, we're going to take a look back. We're going to look at some of the Take a Hike showcases from the past 3 seasons. Now these are the highlights of what makes each location so special. I hope this little reminder will help you decide where you want to plan your visits to in the upcoming year. So let's get started.
So we have an awesome exhibit room is what we call it, and it's natural exhibits and educational displays for kids of all ages. Yeah. So we start here in kind of the younger explorer room, and it's got quite a few different things that a young explorer can mess with. They can make prints in the sand to see what kind of animals around here, what kind of prints they have. And then there's even an eagle quilt on the wall where you can see the wingspan of an eagle and what your wingspan is compared. And then it even has a hummingbird on it as well. So you can see the huge difference between different birds. And then there's other things that you can touch and feel for kids. There's walnuts, there's skulls, there's antlers, there's turtle shells, stuff that maybe they might not always see on a hike, but they can experience here in the center. And even in this cool little tree that we had made for us, when a kid gets inside there and looks up, or adult if they want to try to crawl in there too, looks up, there's different displays inside of animals that might use old tree cavities for habitat as well. So it's educational, but it's fun, and it's really fun as well. So from there we get some more hands-on activities. Probably one of the favorite things for kids to visit is to be able to touch pelts. Yeah. So we have pelts of different mammals that can be found in Illinois. Maybe not all of them here, although I would bet most of them could be found if you looked hard enough and were pretty quiet, which doesn't usually happen when we're on trail hikes. Right. So they get to touch them. We've seen kids put them on their heads. You know, it's nice to get to feel exactly what a beaver might feel like, or a badger, or a skunk, stuff that they might not see up close in person. So this is probably like super exciting. Yeah. The other thing that kids really love are the mystery boxes behind you. So you don't know what's inside the mystery box, but you have to stick your hand in there to feel and guess what it is. Don't worry, there's no live animals. You're not gonna get bit by anything in those boxes, but it just gives another kind of edge to experience different textures in nature. So it's I got a feel in one. Do it. See if you can guess it before you pull your hand out.
I don't even feel anything.
Oh, is it an
empty one? Am I feeling in the wrong spot?
No, there should be. Oh, here's one. Oh.
I picked the wrong side.
You picked the wrong.
Okay. It feels like it wants to be a claw.
Oh, it might be. You can pull it out and see. And
not even. was
So
a little
it's a gourd.
pointy.
Yeah.
I gave it a shot, but I can see
There
where
you
that'd be
go.
fun.
Yeah, it's different. They have their seed pods in there. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's different things are in
back in
every
there.
box, and I think this one even has some cool little mussel shells as well. So again, things that exist in nature,
Yeah.
but just taking a hike you might not always get to see it. So you get some
Right.
hands-on experience, and it puts a little edgy fun in it as well.
We've been walking through Rimrock to get back to this particular spot. Can you talk about some of the highlights of Rimrock Trail?
Rimrock's a pretty short trail. It's about a mile and a quarter of trails and great bluffs, nice forests, lots of wildlife, and a lot of spring flowers and stuff. And wintertime, when the leaves are down, you can see a lot more of the rock formations. It's just a lot different feel than what you get at Garden of the Gods.
Definitely, which is, locale one of the episode. So also very near to where we're sitting is the Squeeze. Can you talk to us about the Squeeze? I mean, give us the deets.
It's just kind of little stone hallways and fun place to explore around. And usually it goes up to the steps that lead out to the top, but they're currently closed. But that'll be fixed in the near future, and you can take the lower trail down to get here and enjoy it that way.
Now, this trail that we're on, is it just in and out, or is it all the way around? Is it loop?
Normally it would be a loop if the stairs were open,
Okay.
but otherwise it's an out and back, or there's an upper loop that you can see from the top up here. But with the steps out, you currently can't loop it that way. But
So as we were walking through, you were telling us about the history, the age of these structures that we're looking at. Can you recap it a little bit for the folks at home?
well, it was first settled, in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and in the 50s, the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps, did a lot of the work putting in the steps and the trails, and in the 90s, they did some more work with the YCCC, and that's pretty much who built all this, and now we're trying to help maintain it.
Definitely. Another site that we had passed through was the Ox Cave.
I
butcher that?
Cave.
Can you talk about that again? Just a
Yeah,
quick
that's
overview.
a place where they used to have a corral to keep the oxen. It was sheltered, and it had a spring in the back for the water, so they were cutting trees, and they used the oxen to pull the timber out of here back in the early 1900s, 1902 to 1906, I believe.
So if I'm somebody who has never been down here, and as we've discussed, Shawnee is absolutely huge, 290,000 acres.
Correct.
You can't see it all in a day.
No.
It's just not impossible. Can you see it all in a week?
No, you can't see it all in a week. You can't even, between here and Garden of the Gods, you can't even see all of it in a week. There's just so many trails everywhere. So many people that go to the Garden of the Gods don't even make it over to here, and the people that come here don't make it to Rimrock. And then there's, just way more beyond that. But you could plan a trip if you're big into hiking. You can hike for a long time and not at the same trails.
Well, if you said that you've been here for 5 years, in your 5 years, have you found your favorite spot tucked in Shawnee?
There's lots of them. I mean, it's hard to pick one,
I put Sue on the spot too.
Yeah. I mean, Garden of the Gods is it's the most picturesque place, but when you're down here and as quiet as it is, I mean, there's no sounds of humans, it's pretty magical,
It's peaceful, it's hard to beat.
Yeah.
This is the great part of Allerton Park. When you're walking and you may not be well versed on what gardens are here, and then all of a sudden you pop out into a spot like this where you're kind of taken aback. You're like, wow, what is this?
Surprise! Can we take a little walk on in?
Yeah, sure.
You fill us in.
So
Who
this-
are these critters?
So these are the famous foo dogs.
Wow.
These have kind of moved around the park, but this is the garden that Allerton created for the final spot for them. But this is a really popular spot for weddings, ceremonies in the spring, summer, and fall. You can see someone's enjoying the tower. We have a spiral staircase that goes up to the top, and you can see all the way down the Foo Dog Garden, as well as the Vine Walk, which will get you back to the main parking lot.
Not to put you on the spot, but is there a little history behind the Foo Dogs?
So it was, to my understanding, one of those things that, he traveled a lot and saw a lot, and he collected the things and just he wanted his own food dogs here at Allerton.
Well, he definitely succeeded. I'm terrible at math, but guesstimating how many food dogs
I
there
think
are?
there's 22.
I think there's 22. We'll look around and count.
Yep.
There's several.
Yep.
Another reason to take a hike to Allerton Park so you can count the food dogs for yourself. Well, awesome.
And we had our recent viral, as you should say, Facebook. We had a bee swarm in the mouth of one of these food dogs.
Oh man.
And thousands of bees, and it was, bee swarms, they'll move around, so it's not like they took residence in the mouth, but they checked it out for a bit, and then they were on their way. It was pretty cool. A lot of people got to see it.
And so then, other than the food dogs, I don't think we're going to actually take the trek to it, but there are also some other sculptures within some of the trails here.
Yep.
Can you give a quick chat about what those are?
Yeah, so on the Orange Trail that incorporates the food dog, where we came through the little library, the nature library, there's an old goldfish pond kind of set in the woods just a little bit beyond us. And there's the gorilla and the bear statue, which came back within the last 5 years. They were in storage for a while, and then they came back out to the park. And then the centaurs, Bridget says one of her favorites, and it's one of mine as well. It's the same thing to where you're hiking, and then all of a sudden it's a big centaur statue, and it's more back in the woods and really unique, as well as a sun singer, to which you can drive around.
Well, it sounds like around every twist and turn, you're going to find something new or different at Allerton.
That's right.
So this is what we call the Homestead Prairie Farm. It's located here at Rock Springs Conservation Area in Decatur, and this is kind of a little area that we have converted back to an 1860s style farmhouse and the land surrounding it. So this house is unique in that it was built around 1847, and it sits exactly where it was built. So it's on its original foundation, which is pretty rare for buildings of this age. And so we've converted the home, which we acquired in roughly 1977, to an 1860s style museum, and the grounds around it reflect that as well. So we have an heirloom garden, which we plant with heirloom varieties of vegetables, and that is tended to by the U of I Extension Master Gardeners. And then we have, we've got some herbs that we plant around there as well. We've got a wood shop that we sometimes have interpreters in, whittling away at things.
Yeah.
And this is important because while yes, we do care about natural history and plants and wildlife, we also care about local history and culture as well.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a cool little hidden gem that we have here at Rock Springs that people seem to really enjoy when they find it.
Yeah, so let's say I'm somebody who wants to come check out the house, check out the grounds. Is there a certain time of week or that's like usually good, or?
Yeah, so the farm is open for tours May through October on Saturdays and Sundays from 1 to 4 p.m. So we have a costumed interpreter here, somebody in period clothing that will be here to give you a tour of the house and of the grounds. And then we also have a few special events throughout the year if you're not here on one of those weekends where you can stop by and learn a little bit more as well.
How do we find this place?
All right, so between Allensville and Sullivan on 121, Route 121, it would just be on the west side of the Kaskaskia River. Basically, if you cross the bridge, it would be on the south side of the bridge on the west, and it's just an access point back here. The state was able to put a rock boat ramp here just for paddling, which has made the accessibility even better. So the trail itself runs from here. You can put in here, this is the start of it, and you can go all the way to our Forest Bowwood campground, which would be approximately about a 12-mile paddle.
Awesome. And so as we are wrapping up, water safety is obviously very important. We've got our life jackets. You've got us hooked up with whistles.
Right, that's correct. So depending on what you're doing on the water and what type of boat you have, it just depends on what the requirements will be. But on a kayak or a canoe, there's no longer a registration that's needed for that. But you do have to have a life jacket. You don't have to have it on. We encourage everyone to always wear their life jackets, but you got to have a life jacket with you, and then on the kayak as well, you have to have a whistle. So So we are legit and we are ready to go.
Awesome. And this is my first time in a kayak, so Ashley's been so kind to give me pointers and everything like that. How important is it for beginners to do their homework and or go with someone who's experienced?
Oh, that's number one, absolutely. You know, you got to know your expertise level, I guess. And if you're a beginner, you know, going down the river probably wouldn't be number one, even though I'm with you, so I do think you'll be okay. But, you know, just going into a cove, going into a pond or, you know, a smaller lake and really getting the feel, you know, of how you react in it, how the kayak itself handles. You know, always tell someone where you're going, right? You know, check the weather, you know, make sure you got good weather. And if you're going up and down a river, you know, what's the flow coming in, what's the flow going out, you know, and things like that's very, very important.
And after a quick hike at the Warbler Ridge Bottoms, we've reached our final stop. We've got some bat habitat. We're batty about bats here. Can you tell us about this project a little bit more?
Absolutely. So this is our artificial bat habitat. And what you see behind you are a series of 2 different options we've given to the bats here at Warbler Ridge. One of them are essentially power poles that have an artificial bark called Brandon bark. Scientists have engineered this bark to mimic bark because that's what these bats like. They like to crawl up under the bark, these Indiana bats specifically, like oak and hickory. So we've tried to mimic that through these artificial bat roosts. And then you also see some of the more traditional bat houses. We call those rocket boxes. And the rocket boxes are designed to get the bats very warm. They love to be very warm and have the space that they need. And so we've been very lucky that in the evening times, we can count, our bat volunteers come out and sometimes count up to 300 or 400 bats exiting right at sundown.
Well, as we're taping this in September, that sounds perfectly set up for Halloween time.
It does. And the secret, actually, our science secret for the day is that these bats are getting ready to leave. And so they will migrate south for the winter time. They won't be here at Halloween.
Okay.
But then they will come back to us in the spring.
So as we're driving this a little bit, can you talk a little bit more about the history of, like you said, things have really grown up here. You wouldn't expect people to land at planes here, so what's the history behind it?
I think it was in 1955 or 1954 is when they had the license to be able to have an air landing strip. And from the stories that I heard is that they set this here to have the landing strip in case the governor ever wanted to fly from Springfield and land here to do things, press conferences, what have you. But that I'm not really too sure about. But they continued to have planes landing on the airstrip until the early 80s is when they said that it was time to stop with that, and probably maybe it just ran its course. So I've got to make sure that I'm driving slow here.
Sure thing.
But a lot of people love to come out to this trail and go for a hike, especially on a day like today. A lot of people that train for triathlons and stuff, they'll come here to train for different running races and triathlons and such. So it's a nice thing to have, and it's just a beautiful trail to have for the community here. It's it'll take you a good, hour or two to get through the whole trail at times.
And even longer if you're trying to take in the diverse plants or the birding.
Yes, exactly. And there are a lot of bird species that you can see here. And eventually we're going to have some more benches in here. That's part of the project, that we want to put in some benches where you'll be able to come out here and just sit down and just listen to nature for a while. And that's a lot of people need to do that. Not enough people get out into natural areas and just sit and listen and don't do anything. We're all wired to be looking at our phones and constantly having some sort of stimulation I think sometimes we all just need to come out and just sit down and not say anything and be quiet for a couple hours.
Just slow down.
Exactly.
Now, I need to ask Professor Shozo about one more special feature of this location. Can you talk about this building behind us?
Yes. The most of Japanese garden have a azumaya. That means where you can have a shade under the roof, and then you can sit and enjoy the beautiful garden. And so we like to have a garden, little hut-like. And then this azumaya, we call azumaya in Japanese. And my former student in a kabuki class, Nick Offerman, and he become very, very popular, famous, and he is very kind and a talented person. So he said, I'll make you azumaya. And he built it all this in Los Angeles in his studio. And then he shipped everything with us, with his staff. And then he flew in, and he actually climbed up on the roof and put all the shingle by his own hand. It's a wonderful gift. And so we have a statement inside. Can you see this?
Let's take a step inside. Pardon me. Go ahead.
Can you? That's called teacher and a student walk the same passage.
And is that something that you had imparted within,
Yes.
like to Nick?
Yes, to Nick. And then this is the azumaya with teacher and a student walking the same path. And so he liked it. And then there is another statement and then gift, all that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for sharing such a personal story.
Yes.
And getting to see some of your teaching go out into the world and then come back.
It's wonderful. Wonderful to have this brilliant students, so many of them in UY.
Here at the park, when I take groups out on a guided hike or school field trips, I like to take them back in time. So we travel back in time, whether they're a Doctor Who fan with a TARDIS or not. And I usually say we're traveling back 460 million years ago. 460 million years ago, what we know of as the state of Illinois looked quite different. And we'd also need a sun umbrella, some major SPF, and probably our swimsuits, because Illinois was actually stationed just south of the equator. And the sandstone that we see today was formed back then because Illinois was part of an ancient shoreline next to a very shallow ancient sea. And over years and years and years, the motion of those waves broke up rock particles, washed them up onto the shore as sand. And each year, a new layer of sand was deposited. Now, once you have layer upon layer upon layer, that weight compresses down and creates a sedimentary rock, such as the sandstone that we're seeing today. This is an example of that ancient shoreline. This is St. Peter sandstone, and St. Peter sandstone is a silica sand. It is a very fine grade, think baby powder fine.
Okay.
It's not your typical sandbox sand. This is one of the reasons why we don't allow rock climbing at the park or going off trail, because that sandstone will not support your weight on those edges. And falls do happen here at the park, so stay on the trails, please.
Yeah.
And then we can fast forward from 460 million years ago, when that sand was deposited, to 14,000 years ago. 14,000 years ago, clothing change, wardrobe change. We would be wearing a parka, some snow boots, and we'd be walking on an ice sheet a mile thick. This is part of the last glaciation period, the last ice age, the Wisconsin era.
Yeah.
And this ice sheet spread all the way from north of us, Canada, Chicago, down south into present-day Bloomington, Illinois. That ice sheet also took away a lot of the remnants, such as our limestone caps, from that shallow sea. because limestone is fossilized animal shells, basically the corals, the clams, the brachiopods, things like that. So 14,000 years ago to 10,000 years ago, we had a warming climate, so temperature change, something that is still happening today. And during that temperature change, a lot of the flora and fauna changed. A lot of the spruces and some of the pines, even some of the animals moved further north, whereas a lot of the grasslands were moving into this area because we are part of the Grand Prairie region of Illinois, even though you can't tell because we're in the middle of a canyon. But 10,000 years ago, due to that warming climate, what do you think happens to ice?
It melts.
It melts. Where's all that water going to go? Well, that water came gushing through in several areas of Illinois. And right here in the Starved Rock region, it came gushing through into the Illinois Valley, shaping different creeks and rivers, and also creating some of the first waterfalls coming over these sandstone bluffs. Can you imagine being able to go back in time and seeing those waterfalls and the magnitude back then compared to today? And today, the movement of water, wind, even our own foot traffic and time are still shaping the canyons. They're still moving further back, not to the same depth or pace that they did 10,000 years ago, but they are still moving in their own way.
What a fun hike down memory lane, but unfortunately, we are all out of time. Of course, I would have loved to have shared, the showcases of every single episode, but what I can do is tell you that you can see all of the episodes anytime on the WEIU YouTube channel or the PBS app. In the meantime, I really hope that you'll tune in for the rest of season 4. We have 5 fantastic new locations that we're featuring, and those locations are Sam Parr State Fish and Wildlife Area, the City of Bloomington's Miller Park, Kickapoo State Recreation Area, Lincoln Memorial Garden and Nature Center, and Illinois Beach State Park. Until then, I'm Lacey Spence, and I'll see you next time.
It's almost impossible to imagine life without internet today. It keeps us connected to work, school, and loved ones, no matter where they are. Fidium Fiber Internet now serves over 1 million locations, providing reliable, consistent service that keeps these connections strong. From vibrant cities to quiet rural areas, fiber broadband is a key driver of economic growth. Fidium is dedicated to supporting communities and enhancing lives through this essential technology. Learn more at fidiumfiber.com.
Take a Hike on WEIU is supported by Roll King, America's farm and home store, camping supplies, kayaks, fishing and pet supplies, and more. Find your store and more information regarding Roll King at rollking.com.